All right, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to our next speaker today. I have Mr. Glenn Sanford with us. And Glenn is the founder of eXp Realty, but he is also the owner of VirBELA and CEO, and most recently, the owner and CEO of Success Magazine. And Glenn, I just heard a little bit from you that we actually all own Success Magazine because EXPI bought Success Magazine. Is that true?
It is, yeah. So actually, VirBELA, eXp Realty, Success Enterprises, which of course is Success Magazine and everything to do with success, that's actually all owned by eXp World Holdings, which all eXp agents and brokers become shareholders in just through their activities as agents. So we're all shareholders in this. It was actually tempting, quite frankly, because I did have an opportunity to buy Success Magazine and have it independent of EXPI, and and I know that that would have been interesting for me personally, but I just made a personal commitment years ago to make sure that everything that I was doing was aligned with our agents and brokers. So that also became part of the EXPI family of companies.
Wow, wow. And you know what? That just speaks to your integrity as a person, Glenn. I tell people the story all the time, but one of the first, I don't know, it was maybe like the second or third time I'd ever met you. And we were somewhere, I think we were in California or we were somewhere, we were in a hotel, and I had an agent come in because we were having like a shareholders event or something. And I remember the agent walked into the lobby and you were in the lobby, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to introduce you to Glenn. And so I made the introduction, and I don't know if you remember this, but I was introducing Daniel to you, and I said, oh my gosh, Glenn is the owner of eXp Realty. And you said, no, 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 no. We're all owners of eXp Realty. I'm just the founder. And that was huge. And that stuck out to me. It's been almost 4 years now, and that has stuck out to me. And I've told numerous people that story.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, no, it's an important kind of distinction because even now, I'm certainly the largest single shareholder, but I own about a little bit north of maybe 25% of the company. So that means that, and if I think about the number of shares that we've distributed to our agents and brokers, we probably distributed. Like something similar to the number of shares that I personally own to agents and brokers. So it's been, and then you think about what that represents, at today's market value, that means somewhere north of, $2 billion worth of shares at today's prices. If we distribute it today, that's the value of the equity that we've shared with our agents over the last 5-6 years.
Yes, yes, and we are so appreciative of that. I think we've got a new term. It's called EXPioneers.
Yeah, yeah, and it keeps on. It seems like it just keeps on going up. So whatever you had yesterday, it's more today.
I've been checking nonstop. So Glenn, I want to really we're speaking into agents' lives today. We're talking to them about, changing their mindset to not only focus on that one transaction, whether that's, buying or selling a house or flipping a house, and really changing that to thinking about having multiple streams of income. And I know for you, I mean, I consider you like a serial entrepreneur, right? So I can imagine you've always had multiple streams of income because you've kind of always had your fingers in different things. And I see that too. I like to call it like intentional congruent businesses, right? So we have EXP, but then you've also got, VirBELA. And I want to talk about a little bit about why we bought VirBELA and what you see in the future of that. And then also why we bought Success Magazine and what do you see the future of that being? So let's start with VirBELA first.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So we bought it in 2018, and one of the reasons why we bought VirBELA, well, there was a few reasons, but one of them, we were the single biggest user of the platform. eXp Realty was at the time. So we moved our entire company into VirBELA in 2016. We've been on a platform prior to that. That platform was effectively going away, just the way that it was designed, it was not going to scale with us. So we were looking for a platform. So we moved to VirBELA. Well, we quickly became their number one largest customer, represented over 50% of their revenue, and yet we were just a SaaS customer of VirBELA. And so we wanted to control our destiny on the platform. We wanted, quite frankly, to have a exclusive for the residential real estate industry of the platform, which we paid for that even in the interim, 2016 to 18. But we also wanted to control the roadmap of different features that it would provide to us as an enterprise customer. And so that's the reason why we originally bought it. And I think we bought it for 12 or $13 million. The flip side of it is that it saved us literally 30 to $40 million a year just in our bricks and mortar costs, because to provide a collaborative infrastructure that provided that much flexibility, it would have cost us quite a bit to put that physical infrastructure in place. So it offset a fair bit of our expenses to scale. And I've said this before in like events like Peter Diamandis's Abundance 360 event that he does every year. I figured that it generated us, at least at that time when I was talking to him, which was almost 2 years ago, that it probably created $100 million worth of enterprise value. And I would say that even if I go today in 2021, it's probably created at least a quarter of our enterprise value, because we've been able to operate in a way that nobody else has been able to operate to date in the residential real estate space.
Right. And for those of you who are listening right now and you're like, well, what is VirBELA? So VirBELA is a cloud office environment. So we literally have offices, but they're in the cloud, and we have different offices that you go to as an avatar. So whether that be the accounting or tech support or agent onboarding or whatever it is, there's a room for that. And you literally go in and get your question answered. And so it's not just with us. I mean, Glenn has now made this to where we can go out and we can become affiliates with VirBELA, and we can now sell this to other businesses as well, which again is another stream of income, right?
It is, yeah. And that's was a really big deal for me personally. You mentioned streams of income, and if you really think about what does a stream of income really represent, it represents from you being um, the product of a business, which is when you're a real estate agent, you're out there listing and selling property. You're effectively the product of the brokerage that you work for. To if you can create a stream of income that comes in fairly consistently, you now are a part owner or a beneficial owner of something that you've worked on that can kind of put you in a owner's seat. And it's, for me, I was raised as a business guy. Even when I was younger, my dad had owned businesses. I got to be around businesses. And so I learned the benefit of businesses that cash flow, that don't require my personal effort to go out there and make the next sale, as being the nirvana of business. And so if you can find a product, service, whatever, that continually generates income, then you truly do own a business rather than a business that owns you.
Yeah. You know, I had my first little taste of that back in, I think it was like 2006, 2007. I was selling credit card processing to businesses. And the
Mhm.
cool thing about that is when I sold that credit card processing to that business, every single time a credit card was swiped, I made a residual income for a minimum of 3 years. And so that was like, ah, like that's what got me hooked.
Okay. What company were you with back then?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the name of it. Merchant Solutions, I think it was.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a company called Card Service International. I did some stuff with at one time, and they were one of the largest ones. And then First Data bought them, but definitely saw that as, and people made good money, going in and putting in those merchant services into businesses. So it's a great business to be in. I don't know if it's quite as lucrative today as it was back then, but back then there's definitely some opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It just makes you think a different way, right? When you get that little taste of something like that. So I love it. So awesome. Well, that's what VirBELA is. And then let's talk a little bit about Success Magazine, because I can tell you, I'm so excited about us buying Success Magazine. And what I really appreciate the most, honestly, is almost every day, every morning we get up, we have our stand up in Success World. And Success World is absolutely free for anyone to get into right now. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. And we're literally in there with Glenn, and you're just pouring into us. And Glenn, I am enjoying more than anything learning how your brain thinks. Learning, how are you organizing your businesses, your life, all of that. So let's talk a little bit about Success Magazine. First off, why did you think that was a good idea to purchase in the EXPI platform?
Yeah, it's an interesting how it showed up on my radar. First, Success Magazine two and a half years ago did an article, one page in Success Magazine, and for those of you who have grown businesses or have been involved in businesses that are growing, getting a story in a magazine like Success Magazine is like one of those things you go, holy smokes, people are starting to recognize what I'm doing as more than just this local, whatever business. And so that was pretty cool. And then I got to know the owner, previous owner of Success Magazine, a gentleman named Stuart Johnson. And he actually, took me under his wing a little bit and introduced me to a lot of people who had built large enterprises and saw their struggles were very much the same as my struggles, just the names were changed to protect the innocent kind of thing almost. But it was basically the same struggles. But in that, Stuart suggested that we send the magazine to all of our agents, and he described the reason why, and made total sense to me because it really just represented how much we believed in our agents and brokers by providing something of value to help them think about leveling up and to focus on personal development as a way to work on the inside to then create the external results that show up if you work on yourself. So that was really kind of the thing. And then we became, again, the largest customer of Success Magazine on a bulk basis. So we were and so from that then came the opportunity in early September to potentially buy the magazine. And so there'd been someone else or maybe multiple parties that have been trying to buy the magazine for over a year, and they just couldn't put the money together to actually make it happen. And so somehow it showed up as an opportunity in early September. 3 days later, it went back to the previous party, so they went through the process of potentially buying it. And then early October, I got a call again saying, "Hey, they still haven't come with their money. Are you interested?" For sure. And so I literally wired on Monday like $500,000, like just said, "Okay, here's $500,000. This is I called it non-refundable. I'm sure it would have been refundable, but I just wanted to show how much I wanted to play in this game." And then we ended up buying it and then flipping it literally to EXP at my cost about 60 days later. And so that's how we got into owning Success Magazine. But the reason why we bought it, quite frankly, is in any business, you want to create moats, things that separate you from other companies in your category. So we're residential real estate. I was at Keller Williams. One of the things that they had was training and development. It was one of their moats. They considered themselves to be the #1 training company in the world. I think that's one of the things they used to talk about. And so that was at some level a moat that other companies would have to overcome. And that's one of the things we focused on at EXP was training and education. So we got EXP University, and we've got a bunch of stuff there. But that's not, now we're at least on the level playing field with maybe one of our competitors on that front. But even so, Keller certainly on their coaching and stuff still had a leg up on pretty much everybody else in the space. With Success Magazine, it gave us the longest running personal development brand in existence that every single personal development leader has been involved with at some point. Napoleon Hill used to be the editor. Og Mandino used to be the editor. Darren Hardy used to be the publisher. Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins was advertising it for years. He's going to be on his 4th cover this year in Success Magazine. And so what I saw there was a way to create a competitive moat that none of our competitors could compete with. The fact that now we have the longest running personal development brand as part of the eXp Realty family of companies, or eXp World Holding family of companies, really makes us truly defensible when we think about training and education and coaching and all the other stuff. And we've got our own magazine that goes out to over 100,000 people every issue. And my guess is we look back, forward 5 years. 5 years will probably be 250, 500,000 magazines getting shipped every potentially every month, and then it's going to be on every newsstand, and then we've got all the other things that go along with it, and it's part of eXp. So it's really a competitive moat that's, in my opinion, is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, and that is like right in alignment at what we've been talking about all day long. Because it starts with mindset. It doesn't matter how much you're trained to go list a house or help a buyer, it does not matter. You have to have the right mindset in order to be successful. And you bring up, Napoleon Hill. Well, Sharon Lechter is actually speaking with us today as well. And so she now has the rights to all of the Napoleon Hill Foundation books. She just rewrote Outwitting the Devil and Think and Grow Rich for Women. And so we're all right here in like this alignment with our mindset, with our businesses, and having the multiple streams of income. And Glenn, I feel like the reason why you really came up with this whole eXp model is because, of course, it was a great idea back in 2009 when brick and mortar were really hurting. But other than that, it's created multiple streams of income within the real estate industry that we've never had before either. And so when you mix that into other businesses, I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
It is. I mean, when I looked at my own personal real estate career, I realized very quickly that I didn't own a business, and so I ran it like a business. But in the beginning stages, and even as I matured as an agent and building a team, I realized that even the business that I owned at that point was still pretty fragile. And what I mean basically by that is that if I, as the team leader or team owner, had some issue where I couldn't be involved on a regular basis, that team would start to decline in value fairly quickly. So it might have some longevity to it, but the reason why agents on a team are willing to do a 50-50 split, which is pretty typical, is because they're getting real mentorship from somebody who is actively listing and selling real estate and helping them become better agents. And that's the reason why agents will be on teams. So as something happens to me as a team leader, then all of a sudden that value piece drops away. Agents are no longer as excited to be on the team. They're going to start to look at where they're going. And so if that was an asset I was setting up for my family's longevity, it starts to have issues. And so then the next thing is okay, if that's not going to work, well, then what do I do next? Well, maybe I open an office. So I actually become a broker. And that has challenges too, because you look at what small brokerages sell for, 30, 40, 50, 100 agents. I mean, when you actually look at the dollars that come out of those things, it's not very much. I mean, typical brokerage sells for 5 to 7, maybe $9,000 an agent. So you get 100 agents. Yeah. So maybe you get whatever that works out to. It's at the end of the day, it's probably better than nothing, but it's not as good as it could be. And so with eXp, we said, okay, could we build something that would basically perpetuate itself to actually grow on its own merits based on a value proposition that didn't exist in the industry, which means things like go out, bring an agent in. As long as you and that agent are with eXp, you're going to earn residuals off of that agent, and you're going to earn residuals on agents that they bring in and agents they bring in, and sort of figuring out how to build a business inside the business. And then the value prop of eXp is so good that even if something happens to you as a team leader, that business will continue to grow and thrive without you. And so if you can build those ingredients in properly, you now are in a better seat in eXp as an agent than 97% of broker owners in this country that own a physical real estate office are in, because of the way the model operates and is designed. And so, think about the fact that you don't have to any of the liability, you don't have the capital outlays, you don't have any of that. And yet, on a per agent basis, you're probably netting more on agents that you've got in your rev share group than the broker owner down the street that has a prestigious location and prestigious signs and potentially even some prestigious agents. You're actually making more than they are on a per agent basis by growing the eXp model than they are trying to build their model.
Yeah. And they're stuck in their location and I'm traveling. That's the
Right.
best part of it.
Exactly.
Yes. And that's another thing, I just love the freedom. I think we all got into real estate because we wanted the freedom. We wanted the freedom to be able to, say when we're going to work and when we're not going to work, and like go to our kids' games and do this and that. And it was this vision. I know it was for me when I got my real estate license. I was like, yeah, I can do whatever I want to, whenever I want to. And then you get in, you're like, oh, it's not like that. Like my clients own me. And if my clients want me to write an offer right now and I have a dinner date, I have to write that offer right now. But when you have those multiple streams of income, especially passive income, then it doesn't put that much pressure on you to be able, to have to cancel all your plans and help that client. I'm not saying that someone shouldn't help that client right then. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be you.
Right. Well, and then, you look at, and of course, Brian Colhane, who, he was with me right at the beginning. And so he had built not a huge rev share group, but, just a couple years, into eXp, he actually broke his hip and literally couldn't show property for 6 months. But because of the rev share, they were able to, with a little bit of extra input from some other folks, but they were able to stay in their home. They didn't have to declare bankruptcy. There was income coming in each and every month for 6 months, and then then he got back up on his feet, literally, and then was able to go out and then build, generate income from sales. But he had a little bit there, and there's countless stories now, and that was like 2 years in. Now it's literally, I open up my my email box or my workplace chat or Facebook or whatever, and literally every day I'm hearing about somebody that had something happen to them where the eXp opportunity literally allowed them to pay their bills, provided either residual income for it, or maybe they had equity and stock that they were able to tap into, and so building all of that whole infrastructure to be the safety net. Because one of the big challenges that real estate agents have, and anybody who's a salesperson has, and I say that loosely because there's a lot of salespeople aren't this way, but most salespeople are not good business people. So they're great at going and building relationships, and they're going to, they're good at getting, somebody to sign the dotted line electronically or otherwise to purchase a property. But when it comes to managing their money and actually, doing things, I mean, they typically are getting a couple commission checks in, and then they're going on vacation, and then they get a couple more commission checks in, and then they go on vacation, and then they forgot to pay taxes along the way, and then they find out for the next 2, 3, 4 years they're having to pay back the IRS and try to sock away money and try to do all this other stuff. And then so it's really this whole, they're juggling a whole bunch of balls, which is really tough. Whereas the eXp model at least helps in that if you're building it, there's certain amount of income that's just going to grow, as you're growing eXp in a way that's more sustainable than you having to go out there and sell more houses to pay for the mistakes you made a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, which is pretty typical.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that are watching that are not real estate agents, I know the majority of them are, but for those that are not, eXp is obviously a cloud-based real estate brokerage. We're being called the Amazon of real estate right now. And what I like about it is, one other thing is, a lot of people who I partner with, my agents in my organization, they're investors. And I was an investor before I was ever a real estate agent as well. And I love the fact that we're kind of incentivized, with the personal transaction deals through a year, to, hey, go buy rental properties, go buy long-term rentals or short-term rentals or whatever you want to do. And be able to have more streams of income coming in, because yes, we have the stock, we have the rev share, we have the VirBELA, we have all of this, but hey, why not own real estate too? Because every millionaire, billionaire owns real estate, right?
They should.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Well, Glenn, I appreciate you spending some time with us today. I just wanted to, share with the audience kind of the backstory of eXp and VirBELA and kind of where the future is going with Success Magazine. I'm sure I'll be keeping everyone updated with all of that as well. But do you have any last words for any agents that are sitting out there right now and they've never really thought about having multiple streams of income. They've been stuck on that hamster wheel of just selling a house and getting paid, and there's really nowhere else for them to go. What's your advice for them right now to kind of get unstuck?
Yeah, well, first, if you're stuck, definitely, change things up. I mean, I think that's, and so eXp, certainly take a look at it. I certainly am. I'm a little biased, but I think it is the best real estate brokerage on the planet. Certainly the most agent centric, and we continue to focus on it to basically serve your needs as an agent better than anybody else in terms of building that second stream of income, and those equity opportunities. But if you're stuck, doesn't matter whether you're in real estate or otherwise, change things up. If it's not broken, break it. Which goes opposite of what most people hear, which is if it's not broken, don't break it. Or if it's, I think that's the phrase. But if it's not broken, break it. And really what that means is that every time you get to put things back together, time and time again, you get to take it to a new level. So every time you get a chance to go to a new level, we have so much potential in everyone that's watching this or that's on planet Earth. We have so much potential that goes untapped because we're not willing to take a risk. And so by taking a risk, you give yourself permission to unlock some more of your potential. So just take a risk, take a look at what we're doing. What's the worst that can happen? Embrace that worst case scenario up front as, okay, eXp didn't work and I go back to my previous brokerage. That's about the worst that can happen. But what if eXp actually works and it does what it has done for Amanda and so many others? It might be a game changer that gives you freedom and flexibility, allows you to do more investments, allows you to do more things, make a bigger impact in the world. And if that is what eXp can do for you, I think it's worth exploring.
100%. Said it perfectly, Glenn. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And if anyone wants to learn more about eXp, let me know. Let anyone who invited you to this event today know. And we'd be happy to share that model with you as well. So, and also Success Magazine, if you want to get in and surround yourself, if you're struggling right now with not being able to find people to surround yourself with that are going to bring you up, come into Success World and hang out with us. So thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the morning.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Okay.